Welcome back to the Mr. Manhood podcast. In this episode, we'll be talking about how not to take life so personal. In 2018, I learned a very valuable lesson. This very valuable lesson about not taking things so personal. I was at Venice Beach. I had just moved to California, and I was at Venice Beach playing basketball. And I remember I set my stuff down, which was a brand new iPhone 10, my wallet, and my keys. And I played about 2 or 3 basketball games. When I got back to my stuff, someone had stolen just my iPhone 10. Now, I had my iPhone 10 on the bottom, and then my wallet on top of that, and then my keys on top of that, all in the stack. And so that means that someone had to lift up my wallet and keys, grab my phone, and leave. Right after the game was over and I realized my stuff was gone, I thought at first someone was just playing a joke because there were people just sitting around the area. And then people started kind of looking at me as if whoever stole it, was still there, but they weren't going to say who. And everything I can do about that. I mean, if they're not going to say who it was, well then what can I do? I don't know who did it, and I'm not going to cause a scene over it. So I didn't say anything about it. I kind of just grabbed my stuff that was left, my wallet and my keys, and I ended up leaving. And right when I left, I was pissed because I couldn't believe someone would steal from me. I had done all these great things in life and helped people and did all these things, and then it hit me like a slap in the face. Were they stealing from that person, right? The person that did all these great things, or did they see an opportunity and take it? Literally. And I sat back in my seat and I was like, well, I mean, it sucks, and I'm mad, but I don't think this was personal. I don't think someone was stealing from me. I think someone was just stealing because they saw an opportunity to get some cash, some quick cash. If I steal this phone and sell it to someone, I can get cash for it. So that put me in a much different mind space when I started thinking about my life. Now, I have been practicing this way of living, but I had never really put words to it. Of course, there will always be times where something happens to you, and that day you'll be pissed about it. It sucks. And then you start thinking about the situation, and you realize, well, it's really not personal for you. I used to work with this woman who used to stay late at the office every day and work very hard for this company. And then it comes to mention that they were having financial trouble and they were going to have to make cuts. And one of the things that she told me, she felt that they would never cut her because of all the work she's done for this company. And then the day came and she was one of the ones cut. After I was getting ready to take off for the day, I saw her out front and she was sitting on her belongings and she was crying, and a friend was with her. And the first thing she said to me was, I've done so much work for this company. I've worked so hard for this organization. And the only thing that I could think to say was, I'm sorry, but try your best to not see it as something so personal. Most businesses see opportunities and they have to take them because that's what business is. It's a series of opportunities. And even going down to my father, the way he raised me, my father we lived in a very high stress environment. I lived in the projects in Chicago growing up, where gang culture was huge, and there's a lot of bad things going on. Plus, my dad had a very high stress job, and he was dealing with a lot of family issues, the things that just weren't going away. So he was a very high stress individual. But my father sometimes would, I would ask him a question, something simple, and he'd get a little ticked. And I used to think that, when I was younger, I used to think that he was just mean or that. And then, the older you get, you start to see what people are going through, and you realize, oh, that if I put everything in context, I don't think he means to be mean to me. Maybe there's a lot on his mind. And I just asked a question at a time where he had a lot of stressful things going on in his mind. He became a prisoner. And plus, he didn't have anyone to talk to. So he became a prisoner of his own thoughts. So I then learned at a very early age not to take things so personal. Because what if it's not about you? What if it's just a situation that someone's in? What if they're going through a lot? What if the business is having problems or they see a better opportunity? And of course, no one wants to be on the receiving end of something bad, but when you put things in a better perspective, when you put things into better context, you start to realize that it's not really about you. Most times it's about opportunity. And that doesn't mean that those people who made those decisions to do those certain things aren't wrestling with, I had to do this. There are many CEOs who who find themselves in a bottle after they had to make very hard decisions like getting rid of staff. Or my father still to this day beats himself up over certain things that he was going through at the time. And when I bring it up, he doesn't want to talk about it too much because it still hurts him that he said that to me or he felt a certain way because he didn't have anyone to talk to about what was his stresses. So then when I asked the question or I wanted to show him something and he didn't have time or he couldn't focus on that, he turned me away. And even to this day, I think my dad's the greatest guy I've ever met in my life. But we all have high stress times. We all have times where life just doesn't seem fair. And that's just a part of living. This country that we live in, our lives that we have, is a very high stress time, especially now. So one of the most powerful tools we can use for ourselves is to have the proper discernment to discern between personal attacks and situational attacks. Because personal attacks always hurt worse. But just the situation that you're in, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you. Always understand that. I hope this episode really helps, and I'll join you on the next one.